Hello, everyone, and welcome to the recap of the spring break special. Was it 213?
I don't know. Not important. It's spring break! Marshall, first of all, is surprising Steph, which I think is kind of nice. They're going to Jamaican Me Crazy, Jamaican-themed space camp. Because Marshall couldn't afford actual space camp. So you're telling me it's not an accredited camp, not in Jamaica. I love how Steph makes the best out of, like, everything in her life. It looked like a playground, to be honest. Those pictures were priceless, and they're all on Facebook, in case anybody was like, didn't get a chance to appreciate the value of all those pictures. Did you think it was kind of weird to see Steph and Marshall sort of like just the two of them on their own? They have a really interesting relationship that it seems like there's something different when they're just the two of them are together.
Still, they had some of their awkward moments, like when Steph said, "Oh, I don't want you to use me too much," and then Marshall said, "Oh, I won't." Now, it's interesting that he didn't participate in the space camp activities as well. It was kind of almost like a father-daughter relationship more than like a boyfriend best girlfriend kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Best boyfriend girlfriend kind of relationship.
That's true.
Because he sort of used this time going out there with large amounts of Sexy Boy's body spray.
Oh, yeah.
Like whatever.
I'm sorry, if you put on that much cologne, you are not going to hang out with dudes. I'm sorry. He took a shower in that stuff. Steph is by far the oldest participant in this space camp. Like, she talks about all her new friends that she meets, and they're like 8 and 11.
6 years old.
Yeah, but then there's Counselor Rick.
Counselor Rick, or also known as Quasar.
Also known as Quasar. So
They
that's
developed
interesting.
quite a bond.
Yeah, well, I mean, Steph's the only camper, I'm sure, who has already hit puberty, so Rick is obviously totally into her. Here, Marshall has been kind of shady and sort of doing his own thing. He ends up being really jealous when she brings Rick back to their room.
She has a right to be jealous because they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and he had his arm around her.
Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely had reason. I mean, he obviously saw what was going on, even though Steph did not.
And then Stephanie said, "Oh, he's just my RA."
Yeah, he got so mad about that.
That's the first time that we've seen Steph kind of act the way that Marshall usually does.
Kind of brush him off a little bit.
Minimizing the relationship.
Yeah. He doesn't want, of course, Steph to be around Counselor Rick anymore, so he's going to pull her out of space camp a day early.
Yeah. She was going to be the pilot of the mission. She was going to be in charge.
I was going to be in charge for once! She wants to be an RA. She talked about that. She wanted to be the floor president. She was going to get the chance to be the pilot, and Marshall's taking that away from her. But I thought it was funny that when she was talking about how she was kind of like the oldest person there, Marshall saw it as an analogy for his life as an RA because he's like bigger and stronger and
like Marshall Camp.
More dominant. Yeah, Marshall Camp.
Let's move on to the 5 boys.
Yes. Okay, so
Gopher, Shane, Mike, Dingy, and
Joshua. Who
He
decides
joined
to come at the last minute, which is so cool. He said that he was just coming to promote his documentary. But I think it was really cool because this is the first time that we've seen Josh just kind of like hang out with the guys. They are on their way to see
the world's largest gopher.
Yeah, the world's largest gopher. I think that was a great idea. And they're really good bonding experiences because you spend so much time in the car with these people. You find out things about each other that you didn't know before, and yeah, road trips are the best.
Both good and bad, because a lot of people say like the best way to really get to know someone is to travel with them.
Right.
Because you are literally with them completely for the entire duration of the trip.
Right.
Gopher reaching out to Brittany, not to apologize, but to ask her to move past it and to really so that they become friends again. Which she graciously accepted.
Yeah, and I wished that Gopher would have apologized for what he said. He never actually apologized. He didn't.
Well, he still thinks he was in the right.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess...
I know what she did was pretty messed up.
I was just really glad that he at least initiated it, you know, that he wanted to be friends with her again. The guys were all so supportive of Mike talking to Brittany. They're like, talk to her, and then she's finally like, I feel like I haven't really talked to you in a long time. And they automatically, like, grabbed the phone and took speakerphone off and gave him the phone, like, Those are good friends.
Lacey was, first of all, she bought Josh an emergency phone. So when they were on the road, just listening to music really loud, she wasn't able to get a hold of them, so she called every single person in the car multiple times on the phone, which is a little bit...
Well, it's kind of like Halloween candy. It's sweet, but it's also a little scary. I was like, that is a genius analogy for what is going on here. And yeah, Lacey is... she's nuts.
Well, and not to mention that Danny B is so infatuation stage.
Mm-hmm. You know, when you're in a relationship, you can't always see the bad parts of it, but other people on the outside can. I really think Marshall wants to be friends with Mike, and because he doesn't want to admit it, he just has to spend all this energy and time being mean. He prank calls him.
Reading that voicemail is so funny.
I think Marshall should, like, work for the Muppets or something. Like, his voice was so funny. Like, the CD that they started listening to. And it starts out, by the way, it was Lady Danville music, and we'll talk more about the music later, but it starts out this awesome song, and then all of a sudden it's, Mike sucks, Mike sucks, Mike sucks, Mike sucks.
Deep down, he really likes
Deep down, he really wants to be buddies with Mike. Later in the trip, we see more of Mike and Brittany talking on the phone. Shane and Gopher, who are the masters of impressions on the floor, we're narrating the phone conversation from inside the car. It was so great.
That was classic.
That was
classic.
classic.
It's really sweet that Brittany is taking time out of her great New York trip, you know, where she's probably having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just loved it because it was so classic of what happens when you're, like, spending the night at someone's house or sleeping in the car or whatever. Like, everyone just tries to get quiet and calm down. And then somebody starts something, and everyone just starts going wacky. And it was Shane, and he's like, just know that while you're sleeping, I'll be in your dreams. I'll be in your dreams. I'll be in your dreams. I'll be in... And, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the music that you listen to.
Okay. Part of a good road trip is good music. That's a given. And they had lots of good stuff on this road trip. When Marshall made his CD or whatever, he interrupted a song by Lady Danville. And also, we heard Gopher singing along to one of their songs, which was really funny. Because it's like French, and it was just, Gopher's like making up nonsense. A group called the Platinum Angels. There's one more musician that closed out the guys' footage of the trip at the very end, and that's Ed Ree. If I missed any, I'm sorry, and let me know. Those were basically who the 5 guys were listening to in the car, and I'll put the links on the side, and then if you want to check out their music, you can do that by clicking on the links. This is the time of the evening when everyone gets a little crazy.
Right.
They've been watching all the license plates, and Mike thought he saw one from Hawaii, and it was so brilliant, too, the way they did it, because they're all, like, punching the lights, like, the reading lights are going on and off, like, when other people are talking. It
reminded me of, like, a late 60s or 70s variety show. Something like...
Like Laugh-In?
Martin or something like that. Laugh-In, yeah.
I think that was probably my favorite part of the whole trip, because they all got so mad, and they're having this stupid argument about something that does not matter, ultimately.
I don't wear glasses!
There's always that point in the trip where you just get so mad for no reason because you've been around each other for so long.
My favorite part was actually at the very end of episode 2, when Josh was playing the harmonica and he sang this song randomly. That was amazing. At
the very end, they finally make it to the world's largest gopher, and Shane has been using up tape in the car. Oh, I think they did actually get footage of the world's largest gopher, but we don't see it because Mike ends up taping over it at the very end. Danny B and Shane and Josh are asleep on each other's shoulders in the back seat, and they've got their, like, world's largest gopher t-shirts and hats and everything. When Gopher looks back, he just kind of, like, nods, and I'm like, oh, that's so great, because that's what the whole trip is about. It's not really about seeing the world's largest gopher. It's about, like, how close they've all gotten. Exactly.
And now, for this week's Thing to Consider. We saw Mike and Britt talking quite a bit on the phone with each other throughout spring break.
So what do you think will happen when they finally get back to 5 South?
Let us know what you think. Type it out in the comments below, and we'll see you next time when we review the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.